Good afternoon, everybody. This is Introverse Uncharted John here. My boy Isaac joining us today so we can talk Survivor Series breakdown. It was a interesting event, to say the least.
Interesting, yeah. Very interesting.
Big enough that I felt we needed to have more bodies on this show, for sure.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I've known Isaac a long time, one of my boys, and he knows a lot about wrestling, just recently really digging back into the art of professional wrestling. And for those of you who don't follow the stream, please go ahead and give me a subscribe, like the video, all the good stuff. Share it on social media with your fellow wrestling fans. I think they will enjoy this one. This one is going to be extremely fun. Now, we're going to break down each and every match from Survivor Series this year, including a return that I really didn't feel like I was going to have to talk about.
Yeah, man, it's a very cold day in hell, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Social media obviously exploded with CM Punk showing up at the end of Survivor Series, but we'll hit that in the grand scheme of things.
We'll cross that bridge.
As Triple H said, we all got to talk about R-Truth. That's really what matters.
Exactly. The
R-Truth
real
coming back.
legend coming home.
I knew I should have brought a bag of freaking Ruffles. Your shameless advertising blows my mind. Seriously.
I don't know if I would necessarily want some Ruffles right now.
You want to snap into a Slim Jim, bro?
Yeah, that sounds a little more, my speed.
Dude, but it's like Xavier Woods though, with that the Nissan or whatever that was like
69?
all like it was like wrapped in Slim Jim. Why?
Did you see the 69 number that they were saying on it? All the innuendos that they were slightly giving. I'm like, way to keep the PG, guys.
They get away with that stuff when they're doing the PLEs though, because
Yeah.
they're not on. Since they're not on a network or whatever,
exactly.
they're not on USA, they're not on Fox or whatever.
And
they
who-
can get away with a lot of that.
And who
crap.
better than to give it to Kofi and Xavier? New Day can definitely handle that kind of funny situation.
They end up in these weird filler slots now. Like, it's hard without Big E. I think they've gotten this less and less of a push in the tag
they're
team
definitely
division.
more mid-card for the tag team division.
They end up in like that veteran role where now they put people over because they have such a long repertoire of being this great team. So now it's easy to flop them to teams that probably shouldn't beat them.
Yeah, teams like, the ones that, granted, it was nice to see the Usos get dethroned at WrestleMania by a tag team that was by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Gotta love them as wrestlers independently.
I was a Bloodline guy.
I know you were a Bloodline guy. Trust me, I know you are. But still, though, to see it happen with a tag team that wasn't as put together as, let's say, Street Profits or Alpha Academy. Those guys maybe not are as big as names, but they're better than to have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn or, Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes.
Well, and the Profits with whatever weird heel hurt business-esque thing they're doing. Yeah, whatever they're doing. I like the ruthlessness though, because I feel like before it was the typical babyface. What merch can we set? That's the plastic cup. It's all the stuff. It's what can we plug and sell is a lot of pro wrestling. AEW does it too, where you can see this little niche here and this little niche there. We can make monetization essentially off of it.
Exactly.
It's LA Knight's glasses just finally hit WWEshop.com,
Yeah,
and they're literally just sunglasses that have a big LA, and you're not gonna be able to see them. I want them,
Of course you
because
do.
I'm an LA Knight guy.
Because they're good at plugging their merch.
You're not gonna be able to see out of them. I had a pair in high school or whatever that said YOLO on them.
Yeah.
But they had the holes.
Yeah, I had the same exact ones.
They were awful.
I also had the ones with the slits. Those ones were terrible too.
Obviously my wife works for a hotel, and she found this bag of sunglasses one time. I was walking around the house like Becky Lynch with these just massive
Becky or Seth, both of them share sunglasses.
Just no reason to have sunglasses this big. Whoever bought them, absolutely.
I love it.
I don't even know why that
it's
happened.
Hilarious.
And even Seth has said it's all about what looks outlandish.
And
I wouldn't wear that normally. That's why I'm wearing it now.
It really works. All right.
All right, let's kick it off with women's war games. That was Damage Control, the team at Io Sky, Asuka, Bayley, Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Shotzi. War Games. War Games is an interesting concept. It obviously dates back to the 90s. Dusty Rhodes created it in WCW. It is an absolute mayhem fest. The match doesn't start until every opponent is in the ring, so you have all that time to beat the living crap out of each and every opponent. 5 minutes in between each entrant, kind of Royal Rumble style, if you will. And the match started off with Bayley and Becky to kick off.
Good start.
You're getting 2 out of 4 of the original horsewomen. That's why, if anybody did watch my prediction video, I said I thought there was a shot you'd get Sasha Banks back at this event to cap the 4 horsewomen into the same match. That did not happen, but now I'm seeing the possibility of that being a Rumble thing. I've started to see through the dirt sheets. But a good way to start that match, it obviously starts off with a good amount of violence. Those guys just absolutely teeing off on each other.
Weapons straight away as Shotzi came out. Obviously, the 2 first didn't bring anything because they just wanted to get in and get down to work.
Well, I mean, Shotzi goes straight to... Oh, no, you get Dakota with the kendo stick through the cage.
That is true. I forgot about that.
Which, okay, I'm a spot guy anyway. She like hits Becky with the stick through the cage and then holds it in the cage so that she can grab it. I'm literally like, it's Santos with the Nux. I'm not holding a kendo stick.
No, it's not for you to just try and grab from me.
You don't need it.
I'm glad you're the same, bro.
Dude, the second I saw it, I was like,
hilarious.
What are you doing? There's another like Shotzi spot that I'm gonna bring up when we get a little down the road, because there was one spot that like had me in my chair just like furious at least what the camera, like it could be the cameraman's fault, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shotzi obviously comes in. She wants to add the weaponry, bring the violence too. I'm still not the biggest Shotzi guy. I liked her NXT run. That was also when she was allowed to have a last name. That's when she was still like Shotzi Blackheart, which worked really well with
gives
like
her more of a persona.
When you had like Tommaso Ciampa, who was the Blackheart, like you have a lot of stuff going on down in NXT where her character kind of felt up front. I don't think she has a character now. I just don't. She went through the weird, like, Molly Holly, I have to cut my hair thing, and that's, like, the identity now. She's, like, almost serial killer now. She's, like, SmackDown leading in. She's, like, laughing, because she's, like, in War Games again. Gonna go back and...
Going back to something she's used to, but...
And throw down. But she obviously brings the trash can. She brings a bunch of chairs in. The crowd is chanting, "We want tables." And if you noticed... The crowd boos every single time somebody doesn't pull a table.
I love it. We're relentless when it comes to it. The WWE Universe or just wrestling fans in general. We want tables, regardless of what you guys may want. We want tables. I know it doesn't feel good on the body for wrestlers. I know that, but still.
Well, back in the day, they used to, like, pre-cut them too. Like, I know a lot of wrestlers have talked about how that wasn't a thing, but I have definitely seen and heard that they were like at least removing the rubber moldings.
Yes, that way it actually would go
making
through.
It more of a tack board as opposed to a metal reinforced. There's the like Bubba Dudley story from when he started power bombing, or when they did the ladder spot where he goes through and he asked them to move the legs out, and he was like, it took me 20 years to tell that we had them do that because we were going to hit the metal framing of this table.
You're just gonna impale yourself through the table while taking it from the ladder. Like the Dudleys were fun.
Every person who ever uses a table, like as a fan, when you're watching tables get used, you're never thinking about that. You're just like, oh, the table spot's gonna be so good. And not like as if none of us have ever sat up a table before, and you're like, oh, there is some hardware under here. It's not just a piece of like tack board.
No,
I've seen people do that where they sit like tack board on chairs for like amateur wrestling or whatever.
Dude, man, I love amateur wrestling so much more than indie wrestling sometimes, just because of the crazy stuff that those guys are just willing to do to get the views, just to pull the attention.
Well, you have to, right? Like, especially the world of social media and stuff like that. If you're not drawing out, it's just, you get lost in the algorithm. We talked about it earlier. Exactly. It's really tough to defeat the algorithm. And like tables are a good way to do it. But she throws the trash can, she throws the chairs in, and they go to work on Bayley, leading up to Io being the next entrant into this match. Did she bring any hardware? I don't think she brought any. Oh, she brought the chain.
Yes, she brought the chain, and that eventually I think busted Becky across her forehead. Something busted her.
Was it with the chain, or was it when she fell like between the ropes and the cage? I couldn't tell because I know she got that.
I think that might have been one of those, but you know what drove me insane about the cage spot when they were like fighting on the side? Bayley did not want to sell the headshots to the cage.
Oh yeah,
she would like stop real quick and then take it. Yeah, it was like a delayed effect almost.
Well, I thought she was gonna actually take the bump too, coming off the rope.
Yeah,
and she just kind of stepped off.
Yeah,
but like, the whole rope spot was it was off-putting to me. I was like,
it was very
well, knowing that you can't climb out. Like if you climb out, your whole team forfeits, so you can't escape the cage. There's not. I think she was like trying to do that early. I don't know why that was the spot, but it leads into the tandem superplex on. It was on Becky, on Becky off the top or whatever, and which leads to Bianca coming in. She doesn't bring any weapons. She just brings the braids.
The double whips.
She came equipped with weaponry.
Hard.
Sometimes when she hits people with her hair, it makes that like
bullwhip sound. Nasty, bro.
Like there were a couple shots that she gave that I was like, oh.
It's like when Cody hit Roman with the weight belt.
Oh, weight belt.
Yeah, just smacked him hard, and you just hear it on this contact of the skin. You're just like, oh, you know that hurt.
Hogan used to do it with the powerlifting belt too. The you just get that pure slapping sound happening. Kairi Sane enters next. Sure, she brings in some hardware. It is what it is. Kairi, I'm pumped that she's back. She feels really weird in this storyline, but it's because they have her kind of Nikki Crossing, where she's just not
giving any like.
She's just zoning out. Like it looks like she's not. It could just be she's being a heel for the first real time.
Yeah.
But she just seems very like emotionless through the process.
I also kind of see it like, I don't know if it's foreshadowing like Bayley getting removed from Damage Control.
I was positive it was going to happen.
Well, I have a feeling it still might though, because like if you see where the push is going, Asuka, Io Sky, Kairi, all being on the same page, all from Japan, both of them having tag team champions between the two.
When you don't have Dakota Kai right now either, who's kind of probably this weird balance to the group, but her with the ACL or whatever she's
kind of like the unspoken leader next to Bayley in a sense, because she's like saying what's been happening.
I mean, as one of the originators, you feel like she has some pull. Io is actually who I thought would kind of be on the back burner for a little while, but the women's championship push has obviously changed that whole
perspective of her.
The whole gimmick, and now she's bringing in people that she's close with, which makes her look like she's the token leader of the group. Hard to ignore the hardware. She has the belt.
Oh, so, yeah, exactly.
Hard for Bayley to be the leader. It's Triple H when Randy Orton won the world title in Evolution. You can't have the underling be the guy in the, like that's not
still while the group is like so cohesive, like
you're trying like they did the Undisputed Era thing in NXT where they all had belts. If Adam Cole isn't the main champion, there's no way that there's no way that tandem works in the era of gold or whatever they were calling that. Like,
that was,
I miss the Undisputed Era, and I hate that AEW like tries to hint at Undisputed Era all the time because they have all of them now.
I mean, at that point, AEW is so unrelentless when it comes to like just plugging the WWE. In my opinion,
it's what Impact was in the early 2000s.
Exactly.
If you were not successful, or if you were like mid-successful in WWE, you were gonna be a star in AEW. You were gonna run on over there. That's Impact had like every defunct, beat up older wrestler.
It had Scott Steiner at one point.
Steiner
had the Dudleys.
Yes, Steiner, Hogan, Nash, Hall, Ric Flair,
everyone.
Booker T,
Sting
Kurt
was a
Angle.
Part of it, wasn't he?
Sting popped in like a little later. Yeah, I mean, like
you had AJ and Samoa, but those guys were like the young guns on the show.
Yeah, I mean, like Jeff Jarrett still gets like he's still pushed pretty decently in AEW,
which is crazy to me.
Never been a Jarrett guy.
No. I mean, you can't knock credit though. He's done his work. He's done his dues.
Yeah.
But like, still though, I'm not.
He's a bad promoter.
Yeah, we don't have to go down that.
TNA was it's back to being TNA now.
Yeah, it is.
I think they said by the new year or whatever they'll rebrand.
Yep. It's awesome.
I wish they would just bring back the 6-sided ring. I know that they're not going to.
No, never.
There's like a weird generational line that's like the 6-sided ring was so good, and then there's like that generation that's like it was
garbage.
Trash.
It was hot garbage.
Sting was like, I absolutely hated that ring. AJ was like, it's sold, man.
Once we got away from it though, AJ realized like, oh, this isn't the best, you know.
Well, I mean, you had the cool X Division match over it too, or whatever.
Back to the women's division.
Oh yeah.
How did you feel about the fire extinguisher on Asuka for the missed rebuttal kind of?
Well, she'd already gotten shots with the mist earlier anyway, so there was like no way you're gonna miss the entire.
Exactly. That's a lot of mist if you got it there, Asuka.
Oh my god! But like, I thought it was funny just to see the fire extinguisher get added to the match. Definitely a cool, like almost early 2000s wrestling. Like,
haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of fire.
Last time I seen a fire extinguisher was when Ambrose hit it as a surprise.
I feel like you don't see it very often anymore, so I was totally fine with that. Io, when she like climbs the cage and she uses the chain as like a pulley system to pull up the trash can.
Oh, that was honestly very creative for that to hit.
I felt
that
it was so cheesy.
Very, very unnecessary spot in my opinion. Like that was very unnecessary. Like hats off, she pulled it off. Thankfully. No injuries to the champ.
Yeah, Bayley took that one on the chin.
That she
Bayley
did.
takes that spot on the chin. She's definitely she's a goat for that.
She is the champ for that one.
You
I'll give her that.
like Io, who does last year she does the moonsault off the cage, so you knew she had to try to one up it. I don't know that this even one ups it in my opinion. The moonsault feels cleaner.
Oh, the moonsault was so cool.
She's just in the trash can doing the little hand wave. Her little hand wave is funny. She does the weird cannonball spot, and Bayley just takes her to the floor.
She had to though because Bayley was just centered perfect. Honestly,
there's no way you're not looking up.
No other superstar was as prepared as Bayley was, and she just so happened to take it literally to the.
Telling you, I'm looking up and I'm just like, oh no,
dude. I was even as just a normal human being, just seeing that, I was just like, that's crazy.
When you get Charlotte does the moonsault later, and she actually, to me, she over rotates where she could almost land. But she kicks Io in the face, literally drills her. She's you could tell she's got the Looney Tunes stars going. She's just absolutely mind boggled about getting hit in the face by Charlotte mid moonsault. But the Shotzi spot that I want to talk about is when she's her and Becky are gonna come off the top rope in tandem, and she starts shooing. I'm pretty sure it's Bayley to get to the right spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see.
In front of the she literally the camera pans to her and she's looking at her. She's doing this to try to push her away.
And you don't want to see that.
I was like, girl, just hit her in the spot. You don't just hit her in the. She's right there. She's in this. Just you got to improvise. You're gonna have to move. I literally was watching, and I was like, "There's no way that she just did that."
No,
or at least that the camera was bad enough to catch her.
I mean, it was also, I think, was it the outside camera that caught it, the one outside the ring? Because those ones are the ones that catch everything that they're not supposed to. You even see the cameraman inside the ring trying his best to not be seen.
Pinned against the cage
Yeah,
with this
literally
huge
this
camera.
giant camera just hiding, and then they're just panning so close. I'm like, poor guy. In the middle of it all, but great shots on the inside for all the matches. The one where Io walked across both ropes and hit that clean. She's the only one to me that should be jumping around on the top ropes and doing rope work inside of the cage because the other ones didn't really hit him.
Well, and also the weird, the leapfrog spot where Io puts Kairi over her head and she, drops the elbow on the chair. Awesome spot.
That was amazing.
It looked bad at first because you could tell the chairs kept falling off.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, continuously restack these chairs onto this woman. She hits the spot. It looks pretty clean. You get the Becky Charlotte hug in the closing moments.
That's not what I wanted.
I wanted a heel turn.
Me too. Who did you want to heel turn?
I wanted Becky to turn.
Did you?
I get that Charlotte is always your token good to go heel. But
she's done it so many times, honestly.
I liked the version of Becky that was parallel to Seth, in that Joker kind of out there. She's not what she normally is. She's not the man. She's definitely not. She's in their own. I liked that, so I thought we were going to start to kind of itch back to that. You can tell that this was a piece of her where she was like, I like the man thing, but also, again, it goes to the selling. Like, the merchandise for the man is so vastly different and all that. Like, she went from being this crazy character to, like, one match turnaround right to being the man again.
Yeah.
Which is fine. She also had the NXT run, which
honestly, to me, the NXT run was kind of nice because it gave more light and life to NXT.
I like seeing a lot of these guys go down there because I think a lot of it is like, obviously WWE wants to have eyes on that product, especially on a Tuesday when a lot of times you run into like if AEW has problems on TNT, like they had the World Series or whatever.
Yeah.
So you had these weird cross plats where you had like they're going at the same time. This is what we're going to deal with. You put a lot of the bigger names down there and you start to draw eyes back to the product. Yeah. But it also revitalizes a lot of these guys too. Becky hadn't won an NXT Women's Championship, so it kind of gave her some reason to be there.
Yeah.
And then you see, Finn did it too, where Finn wasn't looking good on the main roster. They bring him down, he becomes the prince, and all of a sudden he's just an absolute freak. And like, you actually got to see him work a mic.
Yes.
Which babyface Finn Balor couldn't do that if you asked him to. But you let the prince go on the mic, and he just shreds opponent.
Yes,
they were doing the Batista like dark room spotlight thing for him, where he's just like
it works.
It's just him in the zone. Baron Corbin's obviously back down there. They've done
honestly that's been working a lot better for him in my opinion. For Corbin, I'm not really a huge Corbin guy. Like
I wanted him to go back to that lone wolf character with like the I Bring the Darkness song and all that. I'm actually glad he hasn't because it looks like he's revitalized. He's doing something new and it's different.
It's new, but it's still good. It's not the whole money man or like the wrestling god protege, like that kind of stuff. They lost me with that. Like
he had a lot of just strange gimmicks. Sad Corbin, happy Corbin.
Yeah,
like back and forth were bad. That's just not a good spot.
Not for him. No.
No, and like the weird casino music and the bolo.
As soon as that casino music hits, I would be like, oh, God.
Especially when he's not that bad of a wrestler.
No, he's not.
And he had
really
so
good.
much hype when he first got called up from NXT to begin with. That lone wolf thing was super good. He had like the weird, like, I think he used it at a takeover not too long ago, like the dirt bike or the motorcycle sounding entrance theme.
He did. It was against Braun Breaker. I think was that match.
But that's also like, He reminds me of The Miz, where he's willing to lose to just about anybody. He just wants to put the product over.
Yep.
If he's boosting somebody in the process,
which
people can talk shit about Corbin, but the fact that we are like, oh, Breaker beat him, and that's an accomplishment. He beat a main roster guy. That's a good thing. That means that Baron did his job.
Yeah.
Even if we hate him at some point in that run.
But so the end of the match, I know I don't really want to jump that far ahead, but
we're about there anyway.
How did you feel about that very, to me, semi-botched table kind of spot on Bayley? Like, there's too much directing the traffic, but I guess that's what happens when you don't have a cohesive team. Like, if it was Damage Control, they would have been able to throw it all together easily.
Yeah, I'm also not a big, like, rock bottom off the rope guy. Like I get wanting, a lot of these guys do this where Randy's been known to do it where like, oh, I've hit the RKO once or twice and it's not working, so I'm going to take you to the top rope and I'm going to do it from
then that's going to put you done. Like
she was already in the bag. Like there was probably 2 spots right before that, like as you're leading into those final moments where I was like, oh, you could, Belair could pin Asuka, who she just hit with the KOD, like all of these, and I almost thought Bianca's going to do that. She's the team lead. They want to push Bianca in your face aggressively at all times.
But not this time, apparently.
Well, and then like to see that they were going to do the manhandle slam off the rope or whatever. Like, yeah, to me she's obviously judging where she's going to have to hit on this table. And Becky's manhandle slam, she always goes to her knees before she like teeters or whatever. It's not the full, like Rock would put the chest to the mat. Becky does like almost a choke slam where she like kind of timbers down as opposed to flat facing.
Straight outline.
Yeah, but it was fine. I thought I was fine with the baby faces winning. I just wanted there to be some sort of character development taking place.
Yes, something to happen.
And yeah, like in both teams, I didn't see the the struggle that I thought I was going to see. I thought we'd see Bayley kind of get a little bit more ostracized from Damage Control, or Charlotte and Becky having way more of their thing, like not just the staring into her eyes like she's about to take her out. I wanted some more inconveniences.
Exactly.
The spot where they get like hit into each other, where generally you'd probably start to see this tension. It was weird to see Io like literally run around her on like. I can see what's coming because she's literally doing
Setting
it on camera.
Yeah.
Just you should have like off camera gone
Real
behind,
quick.
and then you pin them in together or whatever. But seeing her do the full 360, I was like,
What's going on?
why are you running?
Running a lap real quick.
Yeah, what are you doing? But overall, that match, I know we've talked about CBS gave that match a B. I don't necessarily disagree. It was a good start. You knew that with men's War Games later down the road and Randy Orton being on the table, you can't open with that. But again, I just felt like there would be more character, more development to either story, because you're going to come out into a Raw.
We may see something on SmackDown for the Damage Control part, because I can already see them maybe bringing up something with Bayley being the one who took the pinfall.
Who took the loss, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's why they were just setting it up for that, but we have to see.
They do that stuff all the time where they're like, that person's the one that took the loss. Well, yeah, but she also took a manhandle slam through a table. Like, you expect her to just like,
Kick out of that? No.
I'm back. I'm back, baby.
We're still going.
This is easy. I'm out of this. Yeah. No, that match was fine. A pretty decent way to kick off the show.
Yes.
I'm glad they didn't back-to-back War Games or anything like that.
That's so refreshing to not have like both of the War Games just that quick. Like, I like that they started it and ended it, so that way you still have all of this nice juiciness in the middle, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was worried because there's only 5 matches on the card. So initially I was like 3 hours, 5 matches. Feels like there's going to be some missing time. And surprisingly, there wasn't. Like, the further you got, I was like, oh, they are going to actually fill this time. I also thought you might get, like, because Nakamura was doing the weird build-up to possibly have some sort of match. Then that was just
I wanted
gone.
to bring Nakamura up more when we were talking about CM Punk, because to me, he's been kind of, like, giving those little hints, because after the Seth Rollins run, he's still been going on, like, TV talking, and I'm like, who are you talking to? And you're waiting for somebody, and it's like, who?
Well, those are the promos that I was talking about. Like, I was positive he was building for a match at Survivor Series.
That would have been
and
awesome.
Then just nothing on the card.
No.
I was like, okay, that's weird, right? Like, I definitely thought. I even had said it in the prediction video or whatever. I was like, I think Nakamura has to have this weird filler match where all of a sudden he's just there and he's talking crap, and then you could get the Punk return or
that
whatever.
That would have been a great time for Punk to return at that point, because then he could have came out and silenced him at that point and been like, I'm back.
If you make Punk physical too, think about the crowd. We'll talk obviously Punk down the road, but think about the crowd reaction if you get Punk actually to be physical.
They ain't gonna quiet down after that.
I mean, honestly, again, it's something I had said prior. There were CM Punk chants
hardcore throughout the
whole
entire
event.
thing. Yes.
Like, you get these gaps.
You would have Randy every once in a while when they were talking about it, like, Randy's still not here. They would say Randy, but CM Punk overdrew that entirely.
It's every time they go to Chicago. That's like, I mean,
Chicago made Punk.
Yeah, even when Punk was in AEW, it was WWE's or Raw's in Chicago, you're gonna get CM Punk chants the whole time.
Regardless,
WWE used to try to, like, you could tell, like, they try to audio him out or whatever. Like, that's not happening right now.
It's hard though. You still hear, or like AEW when LA Knight started blowing up, like really taking storm. You're hearing LA Knight chants at AEW events. Like, that to me is like, I love hearing that, but at the same time, like, just to not have anything set for Punk to be physical is a smart move, like you said, because they won't quiet down at that point.
I mean, I had said it too. Like, if he shows up, crowd's gonna go nuts. If he doesn't show up, the crowd's gonna riot.
Oh yes,
because of all the media clout that he was on the dock.
He's so good at his Instagram, his Twitter. He's baiting everybody, making it seem like it's gonna happen, making it not seem like it's gonna happen. Happened in 10 days. It was completely under the radar. I love that TKO didn't know until they watched themselves. Like, Hunter, that was...
I've heard reports, too, that people in the ring weren't aware either.
No, that's why... we'll get to that.
Yeah. But on to, let's go Gunther Miz for the Intercontinental title.
That was so good.
This was set to be an absolute barn burner. program to set it up was awesome.
Oh, yes.
Gunther can be an absolute killer on the mic when he wants to be, but then you forget that the Miz is the wily veteran.
I love it.
Who can do trash talking like none other, and when you snap him out of the weird, like, I have to take bumps for everybody role, he starts to fire back up again. Miz is timeless at this point. He's been around since 105.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's done his dues, 8-time Intercontinental Champion, almost 9.
Yeah, two-time world champion.
Grand Slam champ. Yeah. 2-time Grand Slam champ. Yep. The Miz, when I was a kid, was one of those guys I didn't necessarily like because he came from, like, the diva hosting, back then.
Those Diva Search days.
Oh, holy shit. Diva Search days.
Not even in the way that I think the audience is going to think, where we're like, Diva Search. Like, those were just bad. Just, like, yeah, the women were, like, attractive, which was kind of the premise. But, like,
dude,
it was like you're selling your soul for the Diva Search.
Literally. And what makes it even more funny is, like, I would be watching wrestling at that time with my mother, because she's the one who was the fan of wrestling when she was young, so she got us into it. You would think it'd be like a dad thing, but no, it was my mom. So watching that as like an early young boy, like not necessarily teenage years, but slightly going through puberty, getting that body change, and seeing them do the Diva Search, you're just like, this is awkward.
Yeah, they had like the weird like bikini dodgeball thing. Like Michelle McCool literally like doesn't let the WWE women win. She like beats the living crap out of them with dodgeballs.
Or like the strip matches that they used to have.
They had like pie eating content. Like it was just the epitome of why women's wrestling was not respected in the late 90s, early 2000s is what the Diva Searches were comprised of. And we had some good people come out. Like, Michelle McCool didn't win, but she came out of it. Christy Hemme won and had a really short run. Mickie James didn't come out of that system, but came in at the time that the Diva Search was happening. Like, you have a lot of that weird, like, the weird build from it. But Miz coming off The Real World or whatever on MTV was like, he has to be the host. Like, and then he has the weird punk rock thing, and then he's, like, awesome Miz as you get further.
Honestly, but though, like, what I love about The Miz is the fact that you can love him and hate him all in 1 week. Like, you go from 1 week of him being, like you said, taking the bumps for guys, or, just running his mic skills on the Miz TV show, to literally when he was going against Gunther, I'm rooting for the Miz. Like, no offense to Gunther. Highly fucking skilled wrestler. I respect Gunther entirely for his transformation when he first started to, like, now. Imperium is a great faction when it comes to, like, the heel side, but I was genuinely hoping that Miz would become 9-time champion and then just kind of, like, give the IC belt a little more drama.
Yeah.
Give Gunther a reason to want to get it back now, or, like, something down the road of a different matchup for the IC belt.
Yeah, when it comes to a storyline, I didn't see Miz being the guy to take the title off him. He's the veteran. But, like, for me, it's who in that division do you kind of put him with after? Whereas Gunther's still this mountain.
He's
longest reigning IC champion of all time. He's on this dominant run. It was tough for me to envision Miz being the guy who topples that.
Fair enough.
But the crowd support of Miz made me believe that it was possible that it happens. Like, all of a sudden, he's a fan favorite. 2 weeks ago, he's getting booed off of TV, essentially, and now he's a fan favorite. The crowd is hyped. Him. Any movie he did, they were absolutely pumped for him to do.
Honestly, all the stuff that he was doing, Gunther was doing a lot. The fact that he was missing chops.
Yep.
Miz was like, I've studied you, I paid attention.
Well, that's Gunther's bread and butter, is those like open hand chop, like that's, you can hear it.
I loved it when the Miz started it, like the first chop, and then Gunther just stared him down like, did you just try to chop me, little man?
That's getting into a chop war with Ric Flair. You just don't do it because you're gonna end up on the bad side. Undertaker has said that the chops are the worst, so I don't.
I couldn't imagine. I know that if you go to like a wrestling school, that's like one of the initiations, so I couldn't imagine taking like chops all day.
It's just such an easy sound. Like if you just cup your hand right, you catch it, you're going to get that slap. Big Show used to do like the overhand.
Oh, dude, his chop was like His chop was like an axe to me.
He'd like shush
Yes,
the crowd
I
because he
love
knew that it was gonna
that.
make this like they'd get silent because they know
Oh my
that's gonna
God.
make this god awful echo sound. It's just vicious.
They would be more silent than when Taker's music would hit randomly. Like when Taker's music would hit, you would hear them scream for a bit and then quiet.
It mellows.
Because you've got to see the dead man walking down the aisle doing his thing. But yeah, no, the Big Show's chop compared to Gunther's chop is like night and day with the size difference. But Gunther still,
He just has that sound. For me, it's always the noise. The chop even might be not as bad or whatever, but like still the noise is vicious every time.
Oh yeah. I mean, when him and Drew were doing it, you seen Drew's chest
Just lighting
physically
each other
get
up.
red. Oh,
Lighting
they
each
were
other up.
both red.
But it was cool to see, like, Miz was doing heel things in
As
this
a
match.
Semi-baby
And essentially getting babyface reactions. He has him in the figure 4 on the post. He's like
Loving it. Woo!
Yeah, he's getting counted for a disqualification. The crowd's going nuts. The low blow to try to end the match.
Him doing the turnbuckle to get the fucking ref to turn around. And I love that he literally stares the ref to make sure he's not looking and then just McAfee's him. I'm talking
Initially, you can tell he tries to kick him backwards, but he catches him in the leg
knee,
or whatever. So he turn around, just full-blown punt. Just
loved it. Loved it.
I was like, if he's going to win in this heel way and the crowd is going to love it, like, what do you do with him?
I don't know.
He's winning as a bad guy in a good way. Like, I don't even know what
That
to
would
do
have
with
been a
that.
good way to put that over, but then again, Gunther had to have taken home because he has to keep this reign going. He started it when he came back onto the main roster, didn't he? Like, basically this dominant run.
He's been almost untouchable the whole
Yeah.
time. Imperium in general has been pretty vicious. Not necessarily in the tag title world, but just as a cohesive unit, they're always together. I'm actually surprised that we didn't get the other two, Giovanni and Ludwig involved in.
So props and hats off to Gunther holding it
did
down entirely.
Did it by himself.
Doing a non-Roman thing.
Yeah, picks up a submission thing. Yeah, didn't need the support of the bloodline.
The submission was a smart move. And I love that he turned it from like a normal Boston Crab to the knee on the back.
Yep.
And yet, to me, I felt like Miz went through actual pain because his tap looked genuine.
Also the tap isn't like your dramatic, like I have to tap out. It was just that
literal, like, get him off, get him off.
I had to double take. Because I couldn't tell if he was just trying to like
work himself up.
Yeah, he's making it look like he's doing something, or if he was actually tapping. And when the bell rang, I was like, oh, they're gonna take that's a tap.
Yeah, jeez.
Every time somebody gets put in the Boston Crab, though, I think Walls of Jericho.
Oh,
every time I'm like, Walls of Jericho.
You have to. I mean, the commentators will still say it by accident from time to time, and they'll correct themselves.
They still call the double knees thing, because I think it happened during...
Breaker.
Yeah, they still call it the Code Breaker. It happened during, I think, Women's War.
Yeah, I think one of them,
hits the Code Breaker.
either Shotzi or Io, one of them hits the Code Breaker, and they say Code Breaker. I think it's Corey Graves that does it by accident. Or Michael Cole, because Michael Cole is known to like mess up on names a lot recently. I've noticed that.
Yeah, because I think... Like, Ricochet started doing it too, but he started calling it the recoil to try to, I think, break it away from Jericho. But yeah, every time now, they're like, Code Breaker. And I'm like, half of these people weren't wrestling when the code thing, he came back in 07 or 08 with the, like, weird digital countdown
Y2J thing.
Yeah, the Save Us Y2J campaign or whatever that was.
Oh my god.
But that match was the Gunther match in the Miz was awesome. I loved it as a good middle spot.
It was great.
They absolute barn burner. I think it'll set up for obviously Miz isn't going to take this lightly, and he's going to want to have a rematch.
Oh yeah.
And the next available pay-per-view to do that on is going to be Rumble in January. So I bet you see Miz get another crack at this in January. And then you might still see Gunther go for another hour and 20 minutes in the Rumble like he did last year.
That was still impressive.
Nothing like an hour 20 to get eliminated by the 30 spot.
But you can't have Rhodes come back.
I was saying, hard to deny Cody needed to win that, but that guy won an hour and
I think he should have came
minutes.
in at number 3. Like that post that he did on Twitter, or X as it's now called, whatever the hell it is.
I mean, I think he should have. I think it almost means more, right? If he comes almost as the first guy, I think you almost have him go bell to bell. There have only been a few to do it anyway. One of them is He Who Shall Not Be Named. I'll name him. I don't really care. I don't. I liked Benoit as a kid. I don't mind saying.
I mean,
it.
like I said the other day on the
has
phone
its
call.
own has its own thing. But
I called you on the phone with JD the other day about it. Like, he has some Benoit-esque moves, but like, again, the name that shall not be said.
Yeah, they'll strike him out. But in 2004, he went bell to bell in the Royal Rumble to go to WrestleMania 20, which is still arguably one of the better WrestleManias of all time.
I just. So yeah,
it's a cloud. Yeah, it's an absolute cloud.
And we'll leave it
but
as a cloud.
We moved to Escobar and Dragon Lee.
Now this is the one I was excited and waiting to talk to you about.
Yeah, so the second on SmackDown that Dragon Lee got subbed in after Carlito gets injured. If you're into the storytelling aspect, it starts to not look very good for Dragon Lee, and it starts to look like Escobar gets the push that he's going to start looking for.
And he needs, honestly, like, he deserves it in a sense.
Well, and the match did exactly like I feel like every pay-per-view now they have one match like this, where it's a lot of the high spot, high adrenaline, high intensity, off the ropes, doing the stuff. Like, I feel like they always have these things. But then we'll let you go into the mask thing. My boy here is very traditional when it comes to the lucha masks.
I love lucha. Yeah. Lucha's beautiful style. Everything about it, what the storytelling that they do down there in Mexico, the high flying moves, just everything in general. Like the way that they work the crowd is just to me, it's very traditional.
It's a story. It's actually
so
a story, yeah.
The fact that Escobar has that tie to the lucha style. Like, he is a technical wrestler, but he is also a lucha.
Oh, yeah.
He did lucha wrestling. Like, he doesn't wear the mask, but he still carries it with him. Like, he doesn't get to wear it.
He was still Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah. Del Fantasma was a great... I love that. But, like, for him to literally rip at Dragon Lee's mask sent me over the moon more than I thought it was going to, because it wasn't just one time and it wasn't just a slight yank. Like, I literally thought they were going to have Escobar demask Dragon Lee on TV, and Dragon Lee is one of those guys that takes lucha very seriously. He'll give his mask to a fan, like a kid, but he makes sure that his face is not shown. Like, give me your shirt, I'll take my mask off, you have this, I'm wearing your shirt as a mask now. That's kind of stuff that I respect and love about lucha. They literally take it that to heart, to where, like, I mean, Rey Mysterio, with him being demasked on WCW, complete bullshit. That's one of the reasons why I'm such a critic on that. Like, I was literally 1 year old when that match happened, 97. I don't remember it, but I went back and watched it, and it was like...
I mean, WCW had some weird times anyway.
Oh, man. I mean, that you had, like, when you mentioned the AEW NXT thing when they went head-to-head, it reminded me of the Monday Night Nitro kind of stuff where, like, they had that heat. You had to do whatever you could to bring the attention. And
well, and then we still kind of have that with, I mean, SmackDown runs the same airtime, or just after the airtime of, it's not...
no.
Dynamite's Wednesday.
Yes.
Collision is Saturday. There's a whatever... They have a Friday show. This is how little I watch AEW, guys. Don't even take it personally. I'm just not into... It's so spotty. Like,
they have their times. They have their moments. AEW is definitely...
Rampage. It's Rampage.
There you go.
See?
Yes, Friday Night Rampage runs at, I think, 11.
I thought it was earlier. I thought they ran like a 5 to 7 slot.
It runs after.
Does it?
It usually runs after, because usually I would finish SmackDown and then tune in, and Rampage would just be getting started.
Oh, okay.
The main reason why I like Rampage or anything AEW is purely MJF. MJF, honestly, when I first started getting back into wrestling, thanks to you.
On the mic, dude.
Thanks to you, this guy got me back into wrestling the last 2 years. MJF was the devil guy, the assholes taking the kids' water, dumping it on him. I'm like, this guy's a legit heel.
He's the heel, yeah.
I like him. And then the whole transformation with Adam Cole recently, that we're better than you, baby.
I love that gimmick.
I love it
so much.
I love the little side stories that they would tell, but like...
Seeing MJF do the boom thing.
The boom is so like, oh, dude. It's like he's doing the boom, but he's also kind of a smart ass.
I thought he was mocking him
At first he was. No, the first few times he was, and Adam would get a little upset. You would see Adam do it, but then Adam started to not care. And then MJF would just keep doing it, and he's like, actually kind of like this guy.
Adam in the ring getting ready for the Bebe thing, and you just get MJF running around him.
Down on the knees.
The world champion putting over a gimmick more than anybody. Like, that gimmick was already over. Everybody loves Adam Cole. Yeah. But like, for MJF to be like, I'm in. I'm in on the joke.
I love MJF, but like, back to... back to this match. Santos and Dragon Lee. I mean, still great points throughout the match. Yeah. They had some good high-flying spots. Do I think Dragon Lee deserved to be there entirely? Yes and no, because of what he's been doing recently on the main show.
I think that, I mean, like I said, I think it just kind of gave away the outcome of the match.
Yeah.
Carlito looks like an actual opponent who can actually beat Santos.
Yes.
And you probably want to push that story. That's what they're probably trying to do, is prolong this story just a little bit more. But Dragon Lee being added to the card, I was like, okay, so Santos is going over. It's just how does he go over? He has to look like the ultimate heel. And that's where the mask comes in, that's the heel move. Like,
the whole time saying, you don't belong in the ring with me. I'm here. You're here. At the very beginning.
When you get a lot of... For me, it gave me the feels of when Santos was in NXT and he's doing the, like, cartel thing with Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, dude, that was great. That was a
great
action. Yeah.
I saw people on like the dirt sheets being like, "This is such a racially driven storyline." And I was like, "No, it's not. Like, this is awesome."
I love NXT because they have the Italian family down there running the damn show. They do everything right down in NXT.
Yeah,
they sell their stories.
They got Chase U, which is essentially a college fraternity.
Did you see what's happened to Chase U recently?
I saw the thing where their crowd section walked out.
Bro, they imploded basically because the way they won their belts was quote unquote cheating, and you know how Chase has always promoted like wholesome, humble wrestling.
Oh.
So for him to do that, it makes him look bad. The whole crowd, his little Chase U fans turn on him.
That is such an easily babyface faction.
Oh,
so if you're gonna break them up,
you have to do it that way.
You have to deal. Somebody in the group has to be the heel. There's no way that
And he's not taking it lightly.
That's what's gonna make him a great heel, though. Is the whole time he's gonna be convinced that he's not the heel. He's gonna be like, you're all turning on me, but I'm the good guy. Like, that's going to be what makes this... It's Cody Rhodes in the late 2000s.
Oh, yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm the pretty one of this group. Why am I the bad guy?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love it.
But then you get into Dashing Cody, which... I loved those. Like, the Dashing and Undashing Cody were so fun. Stardust is... Obviously, he hates Stardust, too. But, like...
Yeah, we don't have to...
Dashing and Undashing Cody Rhodes were so good.
Those were good.
But, yeah, obviously, Santos going over. There was no way that it wasn't going to happen. Surprised that we didn't see any LWO...
Or, like, any type of interference from anyone.
Just nothing. There was nothing going on. Which is honestly fine. A clean match for Escobar is a really good platform for him to be like, I'm a legit threat to this group or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I wish he had kept the two dudes, I can't remember their names, but who were with him in Legado del Fantasma. I don't know how...
I think, yeah, see, and that's the sad thing. I feel like that's why the faction needed to have this push away, because they were too overshadowed with Ray and Santos.
They were just, even to me, I was like, oh, it's the LWO, but that's still Legado del Fantasma.
Yeah,
like,
with just a new name.
And how they went from being a vicious heel faction in NXT to all of a sudden immediately being babyfaces. The second they got called up, they were babyfaces. They should have come up to the main roster and wreaked havoc.
They were a little. They kept it for a bit, like maybe a week or two, and then they like had them switch it.
I mean, it was cool just to hear Santos use his old music. Like you had that like bassy like. Oh, it was so good. I
loved his intro coming out. It looked very hometown.
Okay, was it a carpet that he cut a hole in though? Seriously, I'm just wondering. I don't know shit about ponchos or whatever, but like, dude, it looked like a carpet.
Maybe him on that one, but usually no.
No, I know that it's normally a thing, but it was huge.
It was a little much.
It had the frills. I was like, did this man literally find a Virgin Mary carpet and cut a hole in it?
Oh, that's hilarious.
I literally, like, this whole route down the ramp, I was like, did they literally let him wear a carpet?
I love it. I mean, they just let him do whatever to oversell it, I guess.
he goes to costuming, and the chick that's back there is like...
We have all of these, and he's like, I like what's on the floor.
There's this carpet right here. Right?
No stains, right?
Can you just cut a head hole?
I mean, if you're looking at it from that, it did kind of, I guess you're right.
I mean, like I've seen him wear that style.
Oh, yeah.
But normally it's a little shorter or whatever. Like, it makes him look more like an Aztec gladiator. Yes. This one was, like, to his fingertips. Like, I was just like...
This one looked more like...
Why do you have a whole carpet?
A Japanese poncho.
Yeah, you like throw-rugged your way to the ring. I don't even get it. Like, it's fine, but I just literally was like, okay. Sure. Why not? Why the fuck not?
Match got a what? B rating on that one, I think.
It did get a B rating.
I'll
CBS
agree
was
with
vicious. It gave everybody a B rating.
Everyone a B rating. It was either B plus, B, or B minus.
It got a B minus.
There's
for
the B minus.
Santos getting a pinfall win over Dragon Lee.
I mean, it was probably a lot of the whole ripping at the mask to help pull over to keep it that B, but
I will say I really just enjoyed that you can feel that story advancing. The LWO had gotten very stale.
It did.
It's hard to have so many weird babyface factions, or big factions in general.
There's
heel
a lot
or
of them
babyface,
right
there's
now.
a lot of big factions. And the LWO felt beat.
just stale.
I was just done with it. I like what it has done for specific members of the group. Like Zelina, I don't know that Zelina hits this level of popularity, especially without Andrade, because that's where she came from, was Andrade. She's Aleister Black, Malachi Black, it's his wife. But they never worked in tandem or whatever. I don't know what happens for her in a women's division that has... She's talented, but when you put her next to a Charlotte Flair and stuff like that, she's not in that same athletic category.
No.
She's amazing, but she's just not in that same run. It's cool to see her, especially like the Puerto Rican crowd went absolutely nuts for her. That kind of stuff is awesome, and this will pivot, obviously, getting Dragon Lee a little bit more exposure. Santos is about to get a mega heel push.
Oh, yes.
I bet you see a run for either IC or the U.S. title
I
in his
can
future.
see a U.S. title for him because that's the one that I feel like he's going to say he got robbed from with Ray, because they can build a story on that, but you'd have to get...
Who do you put with Logan? Like,
right now to take the belt from Logan? I don't know, Logan. Who would you go again?
Hey, Logan, I'm drinking your stuff on camera.
But for Logan to honestly be the U.S. champ, I can respect that, because it gives eyes to people who don't follow wrestling to want to like pay attention a little now.
When celebrities come in, it now makes them credible for title runs. Because we had like...
Better now.
Well, I mean, because you had guys like Stephen Amell back in the day when they were doing like the arrow shoot and stuff like that, where you were like, oh, he's just here for the advertisement for the time or whatever.
Yeah.
Now that you've had a celebrity Bad Bunny too. Bad Bunny throws down. He's obviously, I'm going to assume, way more busy than Logan Paul.
Oh,
because
Logan
is he's busy, but he still has all this time to do all
Bad
this
Bunny's
other...
been releasing albums recently.
Yeah.
He's on tour, I'm pretty sure, right now.
But you definitely get that, like, those two have made it to where celebrities make sense for possible championship contenders.
Yes. Now, unlike what WCW did with Arquette. I mean, for them, honestly, it kind of worked against both of them, because that ruined David Arquette's like acting credibility.
Well, there's like the celebrities, especially even early 2000s WWE celebrities, like Shaq is not going to be a world champion. He's just eyes on the product,
that was for like the Big Show was going against him, or
Floyd Mayweather knocking out the Big Show. I'm sorry, it's just not actually going to happen.
I don't believe that. And David versus Goliath, and he beat
I'm not a Mayweather guy.
Neither am I. I've never been a Mayweather guy. He
lost that fight to Pacquiao. I don't care what anybody says.
I'll agree on that.
By decision,
decision's
Pacquiao
terrible.
laid way more hands into Mayweather.
But yeah, we don't have to go down the boxing route. But for any who like the celebrities, like you said, like Steve-O and the Wild Boys being there and doing their thing, it was just to like plug the WWE, get more eyes, because the Jackass world, the skater community, all of them, the BAM fans, CKY, they were all on this Wild Boy stuff. And then to have them be like on WWE, you're like, if you weren't already a part of it, now you may be interested, because hey, there's extreme stuff that happens on WWE.
Oh yeah.
And this was during the time where blood and like self-cutting and all that, like to promote gore was a little okay.
Yeah, I mean the blood era, or at least the blading era, I think is behind us.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can't blade anymore. I think now if you bleed, you have to bleed because of contact, not because of. I'm pretty, at least in WWE, AEW still does a lot of, in my wrestling opinion, questionable things to try to tap into the older audience that misses that era of wrestling, which is fine. But there are reasons
We've
for
stepped away
people's
from it.
health that we've stepped away from blading and stuff like that.
Blading and taking someone's blood and spitting it in the air. Hangman,
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah,
Was,
I mean, chair shots to the head.
Yeah, those have
AEW,
been-
the reason I don't watch a lot of AEW is it is high spots that are full of botches. They don't. I think they have the care that they want to do really good, but they just risk themselves so much.
It's the thing that Tony Khan, or not Tony Khan, Tony Khan for AEW. He released a statement saying like these are now banned moves and stuff that you can't do, and no one's followed that.
One, don't release a list.
No.
WWE has a list of banned moves
They
that
just
you
don't
just
release
kind
it.
of figure out because all of a sudden they go away. Like it was never the curb stomp going away was never this move is banned. It was Seth kind of working it out and going to the pedigree, and you were just like, oh, maybe it's because of a character change. Curb stomp is kind of babyface-y or whatever, or it's more heel, and we're gonna kind of move towards a babyface finish. Like people do that. I mean, Taker in the 80s had the heart punch when he was Mean Mark Callis, and they banned that move too because he like made somebody's heart tremor in a match or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
he's a big guy, so yeah, I can see that happening.
But I mean, like the Canadian Destroyer, like a lot of those moves got
I
banned.
seen a Canadian Destroyer just the other day.
The Styles Clash was banned for a long time in a lot of different companies because he didn't hurt them. It's all about your head placement and you having to lift your head instead of tuck your chin. If you lean your head back, he's going to make sure you're safe every time.
If you don't,
if you're tucked, you're going to get hurt.
Usually you
Coming down right on your head.
Yeah.
But that's why he went to like the calf crusher and stuff like that, is he had to have a different out. And the phenomenal forearm is obviously also his.
That's a good one, but at the same time, that takes such setup. Like to me, it's one of those moves that's like.
It's the people's elbow, man. It's not.
Oh yeah, it's people's
not
elbow,
effective.
but on steroids. You know, just top rope.
But that's what I'm, like to me though, it's just not an effective finish. Like sure, I can see that knocking somebody out, but like. It's one of those weird light finishes, in my opinion, that like it just sets up for the next thing.
Yeah.
I never thought of like the people's elbow for some reason was the finish instead of the rock bottom, and the rock bottom is way more devastating when it comes to at least how the Rock would like full body you into it.
Exactly.
Like,
but they always oversold the people's elbow way harder for like the finish. Like this, when he drops that elbow,
he's
you're
not
done.
even hitting it. Like if he hits you in the face, that might be effective.
But
But he's catching you in
usually-
the shoulder.
shoulder or across the chest.
Which again, I get it's entertainment, but like if I'm going, does that move actually put me out if I'm fighting him? It doesn't. It just
That's why I love stunners.
Yeah, even like that at least has like a jaw
Drop
thing.
effect.
Like the pile driver was believable. The super kick for a long time believable. Now
Pedigree.
it's overused. Pedigree should be a vicious. Styles Clash. Debatably because you're still
Depending on
flattening,
who
but
delivers the power bomb, like the Batista bomb
Batista bomb
was
vicious.
the most vicious.
the last ride.
That was a good one.
Because you go
he
up.
picks you up.
So he's
and
already 7 feet. He's taking you to 10 feet in the air at arms. Especially if you're like, he used to do that to like Jamie Noble.
Yeah.
Who's like 110 pounds. Rey Mysterio. Who he's like,
Just
now you are
tossing
12
across.
feet in the air.
just
Like,
tossing you across the ring now.
Kane used to have that really cool drop power bomb too, but he didn't use it all the time. Onto Ripley and Stark. Another match that, like, going in, I felt you kind of already knew the outcome. It didn't make a ton of sense to me to put the belt on Zoe. And it's not even because people are going to want to be like, oh, that's a bash on her talent or whatever. It's actually not.
No, she's actually really improved.
Look at the monetary value in Rhea Ripley right now. Like, she's a social media draw.
She's such a stud.
She's selling merch.
Every which way.
Yeah, like it's not when you're looking at somebody who checks the boxes for entertainer, she's doing it. And people can argue how she's doing it all they want, but she's selling merch.
She's selling merch.
She's bringing
holding
eyes to the product.
She's holding the belt well.
She's making Dominic seem a little bit more relevant because he looked kind of sideshow Bob there for a minute, but now at least like with her kind of having his back, you see a lot of positive stride.
I mean, you get NXT chanting Dirty Dom because they don't pipe in the boos. I feel like the boos are piped in when he's talking nowadays.
I don't like the pipe. Like, I get that we had to do it during Thunderdome.
Because it was needed.
But we don't, but like now, you don't need to pipe it in. Let the crowd do the crowd work.
And honestly, like, Dom still gets enough boos to where it's loud, but like for him to still not be able to speak, they also turn his mic down, I feel like backstage are like, turn the mic down, boost
well, and
the
he's also
blower.
never like mic to mouth. He's still like trying to treat it like a and if you do, I mean, this is going to be a really good example. If I'm talking to you here, and then I'm talking to you here,
it's two different.
It just sounds, it sounds like I'm being muffled out of the room, even
Sound
if that's not. Yeah, if that's not the case. Those are things that Dom is definitely better for sure.
After he stepped away from his dad, I thought it was gonna be like
he can't be a babyface, man.
No,
and now I don't think he ever can be again. I'm sure they'll try it.
Though. In the future, they may, but I feel like Dirty Dom is gonna be around for a while.
I like the gimmick. I think if they could just he also needs to break away from all Ray's moves, get away from the 619 and stuff like that. Give the kid a full identity, full identity,
new moveset, whole new fucking almost give him. I like that he does Ray, but he also does a lot of Eddie, and to me, that's just get something a little more fresher to you,
to me, it's just there's a thing about not being original, and that's not even he needs his own identity, but think about how many people have used the frog splash and stuff like that, and I can think of 3 off the top. My
favorite frog splash is still RVD's.
5-star was always absolutely vicious.
Yes, because the way he also sold it too. The way he sold it was
hurt him too.
Yeah, it's this is a move. I'm jumping up, and it's body to body connection.
Yeah, Eddie's was clean.
Eddie's was so clean.
RVD's was violent. And then you have Kevin Owens is just a big guy who can do it, and Seth Rollins, and honestly Montez probably from the heavens is technically a frog splash.
Yeah, I mean
Montez with the height is what gets me for him. He's going. The only
person I see doing a frog splash right now that actually would be crucial and critical is Bronson Reed.
He's massive.
That tsunami splash that he does from the top rope.
His is way more of an Uso splash.
Yeah, it is because he's got that. He's got to though. He doesn't have. No offense to Bronson, he's a big boy. You don't want him staying on that rope trying to balance
in a world of big men too. It's hard when you had guys in previous generations like Bam Bam who could for some reason do moonsaults.
Yeah.
There are those guys, big football player guy who can do, Keith Lee is arguably up there in athleticism. Probably not as athletic as some of the other guys or whatever, but still a massive man.
Oh yeah,
doing things that he shouldn't all be doing.
There's movesets done by bigger guys that you're just wow, that's just athleticism, right?
Sometimes it's typecasting. So I feel especially in the women's division, when you have bigger women, they just start having the same moveset. They all just piece together. And I hate that, man. Let them go. Let them be free. Let them do
their own thing.
Let them have a style. That style might need to be kind of subjective, and you might need to kind of tune it in. Naya's a good example where sometimes you let her go, and she starts to hurt people. And it's not even that she's doing it on purpose. It's just that she might not be as good at protecting her.
Gets a little opponent. Carried away sometimes.
Yeah, people give Nia a ton of crap. She obviously draws. People were excited to see her. I wasn't. That was another return that I was I don't get it. I don't see the draw. Especially if y'all don't know, she's in the same bloodline as the Bloodline, and you might as well throw her and Tamina into the Bloodline and start making this thing a thing. Otherwise, it's just weird to me that none of the women of the Bloodline have been in the Bloodline.
I just find the whole Bloodline thing weird right now with Jay not being a part of it. But Jimmy went back, although Jimmy's the one who technically started the whole
he was technically away from the Bloodline for 2 days.
Dude. I just don't know.
48 hours.
But I do like seeing Jay doing his own thing. I like seeing Jay being, yeet all by himself.
Did you see the R-Truth video of R-Truth doing the crab bump thing? I dig it.
I love it.
I absolutely dig it. I'm glad R-Truth is back. He's good comedic value.
He's always been here, baby.
Dude, his TikTok is hilarious. Seriously, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. He's also a legit rapper. I don't think he's multi-platinum or anything, but he does throw down.
Yeah, R-Truth is amazing.
I wish they would let him have the character he had in TNA.
Yes.
The Ron Killings character.
That was a good character.
Way more of a vicious heel. Now he's comedic relief, but he was a vicious heel in TNA.
His comedic relief is so good that he gets Lesnar to break character. I mean, you can do that, then I guarantee if Taker...
I don't even know what that means.
I think if Taker were to actually have a segment with R-Truth could have made Taker break character. Yeah. That's the one person they didn't let Taker meet on camera, so that didn't happen, I bet.
He's had a lot of weird... That's where I feel bad for R-Truth. It's he's comedic value now, but he had to go through so many crappy, weird... Essentially kind of babyface knockoff version of Ron Killings. Then the Little Jimmy thing was weird.
Jimmy was kind of weird.
Yeah, I just didn't get it. And then right back to What's Up and being the... And the 24/7 championship that he held...
always
88 times, I think they said. It's some ridiculous number that they let him. Nikki Cross just posted on Twitter the other day that she felt bad for throwing away the belt. She was like, I feel bad now because Truth is back.
At least she's talking now instead of...
Yeah, I don't know. I had another person ask me what I thought about the Nikki Cross thing. Without... If you still have Bray Wyatt, I think you piece... that makes sense, and she could be this weird brainwashed piece of the puzzle like Alexa Bliss was. But like, there's just nothing that I can think of on the top of my head that makes me know what the character development is going to be. Especially when they went from badass Nikki to superhero Nikki to now more cutthroat Nikki, and then shut down Nikki. So I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
But yeah, the Zoe Stark Rhea match. I know we kind of got a little sidetracked on that, but
it was quick.
It was. It's like most of Rhea's matches nowadays. They're quick.
Yep.
She's a very dominant force. Like again, we love her. She's
a brawler.
Great. She's a good brawler. We just need that. I don't know who it is they want to crown next, but the way she's holding that world championship for the women is prestigious as hell.
I mean, like I said, she's also selling merch.
Everything.
Every reason you could think of to keep the belt on her was why I was like, there's no way Zoe Stark wins this match. Zoe had valiant effort in there, and honestly, when Rhea like hits her, when she's like on her knees or whatever, and she's like yelling at her to hit her again, like I was in that. I was like, oh man, she's asking for Rhea to one up, to just go the extra distance.
Doing it.
And like props to that. She's also Rhea's great at selling. She has like the bump where she like sat down from vertical essentially. That would hurt your average person. She took it like a champ, just like thought it off.
Real good.
They had a couple weird spots, but Rhea, like both of their styles are so very you can't go outside of the box.
No.
Zoe wants to be super athletic, which she does some things really cool, but like Z360 to me is still just a modified GTS. Yep. It's just a flip and a knee kick.
Into a knee kick, but I mean, hey, still a good match.
But Rhea, like when Rhea takes the Z360 too, she like cross-eyes up and like
Rhea's good at selling. Rhea's
yeah.
really good at selling. Rhea's good at wrestling. Rhea's good at everything she does, and that's why she is still our women's
She's
champion.
gonna lead. I mean, she at least has to hold that belt, in my opinion, all the way through Chamber. Because Chamber is in Australia.
That has to be.
She
has to hold it up until.
Yeah, it's a home. And if she loses it before then, she's winning it back at Chamber.
In Chamber,
she's winning in Australia no matter what anybody wants out of that. And honestly, again, I don't know very many storylines right now where you have people who are better than her. Like when it comes to what the women's division is doing right now, like they're going to end up having to pair her back up with somebody like Charlotte, who can obviously throw down. She draws eyes. But I just don't think you're beating Rhea Ripley.
Charlotte, or if you want someone to come in and throw Bayley or Rhea off, you'd want to get someone like, I mean, maybe a Bianca, but do I want to see Bianca as the World Heavyweight Champion?
I just want her to heel turn and join the weird Hurt Business thing.
It'd be nice.
Just, hey, WWE, heel turn Bianca. For all of us.
Let Tez be a little more heely, too. Come on now.
Yeah, he still wants to be, you can tell he wants to be comedic relief, but like, you're a bad guy now, man.
Bobby doesn't like it. Bobby says no more.
Yeah.
And Bobby is bigger than you, Tez.
I think you're going to get this really cool, I mean, like we said earlier about that, though, I think you're going to get some great character development out of both Tez and Dawkins. Because Dawkins, to me, like when Heavy Machinery was a thing with Tucker and Otis, and you could tell that Tucker was not going to be the guy, like that the crowd just had no feelings for Tucker. Dawkins feels like that to me a lot of times, where like Tez is Jeff Hardy in the Hardy Boys, and Dawkins is Matt. They're not the same, and the crowd obviously likes the guy who's gonna go crazy more than the guy who's a technically more sound wrestler. I don't want to see those guys get stuck there, because I actually think Dawkins is really athletic for being a bigger boy.
He is.
He had that weird, like, the side tackle at Mania and all that stuff. Like, he has some good moves. I don't want to see him get tuckered and get removed. Otis still has the same character. Like, for a minute, he was, like, super intelligent-ish, and then they were like, the crowd likes Otis.
Just Otis.
Being Otis. And how he just keeps ending up in these weird connections with all these women blows my mind.
Because he's Otis.
Yeah, he's apparently just so lovable that
he's a big teddy bear. Everyone wants a piece of Otis.
Yeah, he's gonna get Maxine and he's gonna get Mandy and like
he can pull whatever he wants because he's Otis. Shout out to the big boys, we love him.
The caterpillar is still. I love that he does the worm.
I love it. I love it. It's the best.
Obviously, Rhea goes over on Zoe. That also from CBS earned a B grade. That's fine for me. I
can agree with that.
The match was quick, and it was never going to be the barn burner that the Gunther match was.
No, Gunther, that was a great match. That was a great title match. For having 2 title matches on the card, that was a solid one for the women. Yeah. I'll give them that. But like the Gunther match definitely had the more barn burner feel.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could tell it felt like there was a lot on the line. Mm-hmm. Because for some reason, like I said earlier, for some reason you could almost believe with the crowd hype that The Miz could beat Gunther.
Honestly, that's
I never believed Zoe could beat Rhea. I was like, this match is a dud to me.
The crowd didn't have Zoe's back the way they had The Miz. Oh. The crowd obviously wants Mommy to always be on top.
And she's going to continue to do... Like I said, until they can find somebody who pairs, I just don't think...
I mean, Zoe would be a good pair, but right now where she's at, it's just not time.
Just being with Trish doesn't give you a mega push, is kind of the thing. Like,
no.
She had that for a second, but now you got to go back
Good turn on Trish, though. That was a good, smart move, but still, though.
It took... I almost feel like it was kind of fast, but still either way, like...
I mean, it worked through the storyline that they were trying to tell with...
it wasn't Ronda, was it?
No, it wasn't Ronda. It was... we were just talking about her a bit ago. Oh my God, you're gonna hate me first. No, not Bianca Belair. It was the man, Becky Lynch.
Oh yeah, the Trish rivalry. Wow. We both just did that. That's cool.
I know we did.
We watch wrestling.
There's too many B names in my opinion.
We watch wrestling, folks.
Bayley, Bianca. There's just too many.
Yeah, that was. Whew. Yeah.
Brain fart. I also live in this state where certain things are. So that's just. Forgive me for... I have fun. B match, though. Love it. Love it, hate it. Doesn't matter. We're moving right into the men's war game.
On to men's war games. The Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and an odd pairing of Drew McIntyre, who is not in the Judgment Day.
No.
And he made that abundantly clear to everybody.
Yeah.
Versus... the team of Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton. Now, Randy didn't show up prior to the match, and they made sure everybody knew that was a thing. And as the smatterings of Randy not being in the building were occurring, you could more and more hear the clamoring for CM Punk to appear as the sub-in for that match. And while we all knew that wasn't necessarily going to be the move on that, can you imagine Punk returns and just right into War Games?
That would have been, I
would have respected him a ton.
You go from Chicago,
you go from these kind of mid spots where you're title fighting, but you're getting these marquee matches to showing up to War Games.
Just doing your due diligence.
Get in this 2-ring double cage thing, okay? You just go.
You got this.
Best in the world. You go do that.
You're the best in the world. All right, you can do it.
You can handle
this. Anywho, so match starts off with Seth and Finn.
Yep, which I loved. I anytime that they dip into the Seth and Finn bag of tricks, I love it.
So good.
They both throw down amazing.
They have such heat, such chemistry.
The SummerSlam match for the Universal title is still one of my favorites. Obviously sad that Finn had what happened to Finn go down. But that match was a barn burner start to finish, even with Finn's injury and all of that. But definitely, whenever they're in the ring together, I'm always interested. They will always throw down.
They definitely do.
An absolutely amazing job.
They hate each other. The one thing I didn't like about the War Games that they did this year, though, is they didn't give the heel faction the advantage, which is what they've always done. The heels have always gotten the advantage, but...
To me, it actually threw off because of Randy not being present for half the match. I was, mathematically, this is weird because technically Judgment Day is going to have the last entrant if Randy, for some reason, isn't there. And there's always... They can hype Randy and try to sell T-shirts, but Randy did have 5 fusions in his back.
Yeah.
There was always a risk that the closer you get to this event, Randy was going to be maybe not. Maybe this isn't a thing.
Maybe I just stay home with the family. And
Yeah, I mean, he was gone 2 years already. I think it was 18 months officially or whatever that he was gone.
Much needed time though. Man held down for so long.
And he's still the veteran. And to his credit, when we get to that point or in the match, he is in excellent shape for being gone.
Bro, he's back. He's definitely back.
Excellent shape. He didn't joke about it. The TikTok of him twerking is still.
I love that. That was great.
Randy's
I love
wife
that.
is a legend.
Randy, nice twerking skills, bud.
She also RKO'd him into a pool at one point.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I have. I love it. I love it. I love everything that they do. But yeah, no. To the match, starting off with the much heated rival between Seth and Finn. Started off real good. Who came in next? It was Dominic, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, Dom goes last.
No. It was JD.
So, yeah.
It was the two Irishmen.
Yeah, so I actually had this conversation with my wife, too. People give JD a lot of crap, which JD kind of looks like this weird misfit. I think I talked to you about it, too. He's this weird misfit character. But when you actually look at JD and all the stuff he did in Ireland, he came up with Finn. He is arguably just as legit as Finn. Finn is a different type of athletic. Finn is on an island of his own. But JD, I always relate those two together. And
JD's a lot younger, so
yeah,
I mean,
when Becky Lynch was in Finn Balor's wrestling school, JD McDonough was also there. So it's not. This isn't a new thing for him. He has this weird kind of clown gimmick like Dom does right now, where he's going to be the pincushion for the group.
Takes a lot of hits.
But if you're looking at pure athleticism, JD McDonough is arguably one of the better athletes in that group.
He is. Great wrestling skills, technical as hell.
He sells really good, and again, he's just really good for the heel push now. He's a good bad guy. He's got that Dom heel thing.
The push that they did for him against Damian, and Damian not liking him for as long as he didn't, but him still taking hits and hitting Damian. I mean, it was good. It was good for the War Games. I was excited for that.
Well, McDonough brought in the kendo sticks, and they start to go yard on Seth.
Yep, hardcore yard.
God, who's next after that?
I think it was Jimmy.
Oh, Jay. Yeah, Jay. Jay comes into bail because the second the cage opens,
Jay goes out.
Drew's at the cage, like
an angry gorilla.
At the mouth. Yeah. Jay goes and plays hero for a minute. It's not the biggest income you kind of want, but
bring some chairs.
You also know what's kind of on the horizon next. The clock counts down, the cage opens, you think Drew's coming out, and Damian with the...
We all seen it coming. I seen it coming.
Oh, yeah, the stick to the plan.
I love this whole Damian being the leader, because when he said it on Raw, did you see all the guys?
Oh,
They're just
Finn
the most.
Finn to me, I was like, this will build... Eventually, there's no doubt in my mind, we have a Finn Priest
We have
rivalry.
to, because that was just the way Finn took that was a little upsetting.
I mean, even when they said there was no leader, I always viewed Finn as the leader. He's the most prestigious. He's held the most titles.
He also has the better mic skills, in my opinion. He's, like you said, versatile when it comes to the mic. He's been all around. He's led a faction his own day.
When you let him go and he does the Prince thing, it's hard to argue that he's the leader of that group.
The Prince thing, when he came out with that mask, reflective mask, that was legit.
Oh yeah. I mean, even in NXT, him and Adam Cole with their fights for the NXT title were absolute barn burners for takeovers and stuff like that. I loved everything they did for those. Yeah, so arguably they'll debate who should be the leader of that group forever. But Damian takes the lead in this one, goes down and starts the ruckus. Yeah, Priest ends up going with head-to-head with fucking everybody in there.
Yeah, Priest goes.
He has the baton. The weird metal baton.
Hilarious when he pulled that out. When he pulled it out, at first when he did it, I thought it was like a switchblade, and I was like, "The fuck how are they gonna angle a switchblade in a match?" But then I look at it, I'm like, he bought a police baton in here. What?
It's this thin metal
baton. Loved it, but it did its work. I mean. The only thing I didn't see him doing was why he would drop it. He literally just threw it down. Why wouldn't you just close it and put it back in your pocket? Save it for later.
Yep. Yeah. Sami Zayn in next. Sami pulls out the table. The crowd is pumped for the table. Obviously,
Sami
the table
loves
spot.
tables.
Oh yeah. That's really his biggest thing is he rips the pipe out too once he gets in and starts hitting people with the steel pipe. time seemed to go pretty quick in that point in time,
did.
and then you finally do get Drew out of the cage with Dom like pinned against the back of the Dom's not. They should have had Dom try to stop him,
and then like Drew just pushed him.
Drew should have been technically the last man, and Dom should have tried to like hand to chest him, and Drew just like knocks him out or some crap like.
Like, you're supposed to be the ace in the hole. And he's like, forget your ace in the hole, and just stomps his little Scottish ass down the ring.
Goes down and
that would have been a better selling point on that. But I guess they didn't want to have Dom accidentally smack his head on the little cage. So
yeah, well, I mean, and obviously McIntyre goes in and just wreaks havoc in there
just to
build up to Jay. He wants to go get to Jay. I mean, they're out of people at this point.
Cody comes in.
Yeah, so Cody comes in next. Yeah. Cody comes in, then you get Dom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both of those, like, Cody had, like, I love Cody, but Cody has a pretty predictable fire up at this point where, like, once he's in, his first thing was that drop down punch. I love the drop down punch.
Oh, yes, the drop down punch is amazing. I love it.
But he automatically goes into those. Dom comes in. And then you're just kind of on the edge of does Randy show?
What happens in these next 5 minutes? Is it Randy or is it Punk that we're getting at this point?
Or, I mean, like, do you get nobody? Do they get high and dry?
I was on the edge of my seat, and I usually don't do edge of my seat kind of stuff. Like, I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh, I was on the edge of my seat. But I was literally, like, in my couch. I was gripping my beer hard because I was like, who the hell am I going to see? Who am I going to see? And then you hear voices.
Well, you get Rhea first, because Rhea comes down.
That's right.
She's like signaling for the cash in. Because every pay-per-view now, Damien's gonna try to cash in.
It ain't gonna work.
And every pay-per-view, somebody is going to aggressively try to stop him from doing that. So yeah, you get her coming down with a ref and a briefcase, and as she is handing it in, you finally get the theme song and voices hits, and Randy comes out. Looking chiseled, looking ready to go, looking
like
healthy.
A Greek god.
Yeah, he's looking healthy. Honestly, I was like looking at his back too. Didn't see a ton of like scarring or anything. He looks like he's in really good shape. And the second he's in, he slams the door and he's ready to go. And they feed Dom to him
first
immediately.
Love it.
And he gets the 2 clotheslines and the most beautiful power slam in the game. I love his power slam. His power slam is so clean.
Snap power slam.
Yeah, he drops him with the he gets the snap DDT.
The classic DDT through the ropes. I love it when he has everyone line up on Judgment Day.
And he hits they get the tandem snap.
I love it when he goes 1, 2, 3 snap. Randy's like intensity, like I've seen the Evil documentary they did on WWE. The way he's able to just get into character and
it's his thing, yeah.
Dude, he kind of frightens me a little as a grown man. So like as a kid, Randy Orton was the guy that I didn't like because every girl loved him, and every guy, honestly, if you didn't like him, you wanted to be him.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, because
he was a freak.
He started off as the legend killer, you know, like killing legends. Putting people down.
And then he's a Viper. And
Apex killer, Apex Predator.
He just starts going nuts, yeah.
The only time I didn't like Randy, which I didn't watch too much of it because I wasn't into it at the time, was the RK Bro. And I'm glad I didn't see too much of that because I'm not a huge Matt Riddle fan.
I'm not a Riddle guy.
I don't like the fact...
I don't think the world is a very big Matt Riddle guy at this point. Cheers, Matt. I hope you're...
Oh, did you see what he posted?
No.
We'll get to that later.
I try to not think about
We'll
Matt
get
Riddle,
to that later. We'll get to it when we talk about Punk a little more.
Yeah,
but anywho.
But you also get the snap DDT that leads into him firing up and pounding the mat, getting ready for the RKO. And then he turns his attention to Jay, which we all kind of saw coming.
We had a bet to see when he would hit it and how he would hit it.
Well, when Jay turns around, he obviously does not take the RKO. But Randy does point to the head, as he will never forget.
I remember.
And he could have very easily... I thought that was actually going to be how this match was going to end, was going to be Judgment Day winning this match based on Randy and the heel turn. Everybody thought Randy's going to come back a babyface. So I was like, nah, he's going to be the Viper, and he's going to absolutely take out Jay. He does not do that.
Does not take out Jay at all.
But the match kind of flows, like once Randy's in there, it flows exactly how you think it would, where they're going to just hit these high spots.
Everyone hits their moves.
And they hit the snap DDT.
Yeah.
And then you get I actually didn't like the setup for the massive RKO. Just because it was so built up. The out of nowhere thing is what I like.
Yes.
And the fact that they're like holding him and you can tell they're counting it down. Like you just know what's coming. But JD still takes it on the chin.
JD, that's the whole reason why I was going to say. That RKO to me was great though because JD not only signed his little ass up for it, but he took it like a champ.
It takes a beating.
And sold it so well. Like, I have never... Like, I love, like you said, the out-of-nowhere RKOs are the best. Like, when you don't see it coming. But at the same time, having him be back in the ring rust that he has, you have to set Randy up for that. Just give him the homecoming slam.
For me, though, you just let him pin him. I actually didn't like that Randy gets up and then feeds Damian to Cody for Crossroads. I get that they want Cody to be the guy in the company. They're obviously building.
They're trying to push it for the 40.
Yeah, they're building for him to be the face after Roman inevitably is no longer champion. They're doing this. You can see it. It's all happening.
It has to, yeah.
But like Randy just came back. He just hit a massive RKO. Let him pick up the win. Everybody wanted to hear the music again and love Randy. And honestly, the second that match is over, I'm like, Randy is still heel turning. He's still going to RKO
We were waiting
Jay.
because when they were doing the hands up,
I thought
it was going to happen because he looked over.
Snap down
he looked over at one point. He looked at Jay. He's like, where is he in this lineup? I thought he was going to go hands down, push Sammy or whoever was in between him, and hit him with the RKO. And Cody was either going to support or be like, why did you do that?
See, I thought he would have to try to play middle, and that was going to mess with everybody's dynamic.
That's what, you told me that.
Yeah, and you build towards Orton Rhodes at like Rumble, which I think would be an amazing match, which still has potential. I think we still have potential for Orton to turn
9
here.
weeks to build up to that. So
and Orton's going to turn on Jay at some point. There's no way that the Viper doesn't go.
We can't have the Viper being a baby face, especially when his last run here. No, when he was here, he's always a heel, unless he was with Riddle.
Yeah.
Anywho,
but
match hits.
But they throw the copyright symbol up on the bottom, which for me kind of
signifies the end of the
dubbed out that we weren't gonna get what ended up happening, and that is the stupid static sound and the return of CM Punk to WWE after 8 long years of absence. Yeah, man, like I have a ton of opinions on Punk. I think that this is going to have a wicked honeymoon phase of him being this draw and selling the merch and all the stuff.
I mean, it happened at AEW. He literally returned the same year, bro. Same Coliseum.
But I think you get this very short grace period of everything being great, and then something is going to happen backstage to upset Phil, and Phil is going to do what he does, and he's going to protest and essentially depart. And where do you go? Like, the world is now shrunk. Mostly because AEW has bought up Ring of Honor and they're either in bed with New Japan and they have all this stuff. The world is shrinking for places for CM Punk to run.
You don't really
to do this craft. And honestly, the world shrinks more because now he can't do MMA stuff again. If he messes this up, TKO is obviously...
And they run it all, basically.
Yeah, it's not going to be a thing, so...
I just honestly hope that this time around it works out. I'm a little excited / nervous to see what happens with him in the live mic tonight on Raw.
I think they build towards.
I think Rollins. I think Rollins comes out and interrupts because we all seen what happened on Instagram. I seen it. Where he's literally flipping him off, saying "fuck you," kind of stuff, and. Corey Graves and Michael Cole. Like, the reason why it sold me a little more was because Michael Cole was actually there. And you don't see Michael getting in the way.
Table,
but, like, Corey Graves, I didn't realize how much I missed your voice, by the way. Congratulations on the baby. Like, I didn't realize how much I actually missed hearing your voice on the side. But, I mean, hey, I also got a little bit of, who was our guest rep for our guest commentators? We had Kevin Owens at 1 week.
Oh, yeah.
Who was the next one? Was it Bubba? No, it wasn't Bubba. Who was it? No. It was Road Dogg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, I mean him being gone definitely takes away from the table. And I did see also an aerial shot of the announce table when Punk's music hit of Michael Cole actually throwing a water bottle. So I don't know. Like, obviously the internet's gonna buzz. I don't know how much of these specific things are a work or what's real or what's not.
Yeah.
Rollins obviously has had a thing for CM Punk for a long time.
He said it in interviews countless times.
He's called him a cancer.
Needs to stay away, a plague. He doesn't belong here. He's better off. We're better off without him, kind of stuff.
He's done the work on that for sure.
Long ago.
I mean, people had the thing about Drew storming out too. Drew did talk, I guess, at the live event on Sunday because there was a non-televised live. He did a promo like from the screen or whatever, where he just said that it was because his team let him down. Which I kind of figured, people wanted that to be like he's mad that Punk just showed up or whatever, but I think that was always going to be him building the story. He's a professional. He's not a storm out guy.
He literally stormed out before Punk's return even happened. So
he's probably through the curtain before.
He was.
It
was reported that he was through the curtain, and then a little shortly after Punk's theme hit. And that's just one of those things where I honestly, when I heard it, I was in disbelief. Because when I heard Randy's theme hit, I literally was up and down screaming like a little kid. I loved it.
I mean, for me, it was just such a 50-50, and especially with AEW building whether or not he's behind the devil mask and like all this stuff. I mean, this happened so fast, obviously, from what Hunter has said.
The internet's really good at playing stuff.
Well, the internet is honestly also taken away a little bit, where like now how quickly social media does happen. I mean, my whole Facebook was people leading up to Punk's return being like, he's there, we know he's there, and it's like,
no one actually seen him. No one's seen him go in.
From what it sounds like, he entered through a hallway that they had cleared, and he essentially walked from that hallway to Gorilla. Nobody saw him. Nobody talked to him. He was into Gorilla, and Triple H had taken over the TV spot during that time. So Triple H signaled for the copyright to be thrown up. He was setting up for everybody to think this thing is over when it's not over.
There's no way he's coming, and then the pop.
Yeah, and it goes, like I said, the end of that match, so Mountain Time or whatever, that match ended at like 8:49. So it's like there's 10 minutes of airtime that they're not going to let go.
No, so something has to happen within that span for a PLE.
Which for me, it was either Randy heel turns or CM Punk is
Which we could have fit both of them into one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What I don't like about Punk's return is the fact that it overshadowed Randy's return.
I feel that too.
We could have had Randy return on Raw Monday.
Yep.
We didn't have to have Cody say anything.
Yeah, I mean, almost have you especially if you're going to build him as a heel anyway, you just don't have him show up at War Games. He leaves his team high and dry and make everybody mad. He shows up on Raw and stuns like Jey Uso with an RKO, and then you have this awesome heel program
with him and Cody, Cody and Randy, like, I called you. You were supposed to have our back, and then it's like,
you're my guy,
you called me, and I was gonna have your back, but you have him on your team.
Yeah.
Do you forget what he did to me? Yeah. Like he shelved me for almost 2 years. Like, you think I'm gonna forget that? Like that? No offense, could have written it a little better. I'm not saying that we're looking for jobs, but
I mean, I just feel that match
was just pushed.
Well, with especially like backstage, from what I've understood at this point, nobody knew that CM Punk was going to be there.
No.
And based on the camera angles that you get of people in the ring, it does seem like there's some cluelessness of what, like Randy opens a chair and like sits down and like waves at Punk. Like he just, you can tell that it's one of those I don't know what to do with my hands moments, because we're supposed to be celebrating and leaving, but now we have him blocking our way out.
Mm-hmm.
So... we have to deal with, I mean, the crowd is now rabid. The crowd no longer cares about how good this War Games match was. They're only into that guy.
No one cared about Survivor Series the moment In Living Color hit.
Yep.
The moment his song hit,
you
lost everything for Survivor Series 2020.
It'll be interesting to see what happens tonight, as it has been advertised that both Randy and Punk will be on Raw tonight. But Punk, I've also heard through the back channels, may be a free agent and not listed to a single brand, which they always do with big comebacks. Cody was like that too for a minute, where he was just everywhere. He's going to sell a lot of merch. It's going to be a big deal for a minute. I don't know what they build towards. Does CM Punk win the Royal Rumble?
Either he wins the Royal Rumble, or they go down the route of him being the one to take the title off of Rollins.
I just can't. I would say for me, if he wins the Rumble, I think he should go after Rollins either way for the history factor, because I think they're obviously still pushing to get Rock for Mania as well. So I think you're going to get like night one main event would be like Rock Roman, where Roman kind of has to go over. There's really no choice. He has to be the head of the table. And then you piece over to night two, where he has to main event a second night. He loses to Cody. And then if he's going to hang around, the excuse is, I had to do 2 main events back to back.
That's why I lost it.
But I've also heard that Roman may retire after 40 with his health and all that stuff.
There's a good chance.
So there's some speculation.
The man beat leukemia. Like,
twice.
like there's not much we as fans can ask for now. Like his part-time is, I guarantee, due to his fucking health.
You can't be mad about his part-time and having never been mad or whatever. Like a lot of people weren't mad about Lesnar's part-time and stuff like that. Like you can't have it both ways.
We all knew Lesnar would leave the moment it happens. He comes around WrestleMania season. It always happens.
Well, and that's another thing that you could see at the Rumble is there's always going to be the clamoring for a possible Lesnar run between Rumble and Mania, which is what Taker used to do when he got older. He would like go on vacation
and then come back.
And then between Survivor Series and the Rumble, he'd come back and then he'd go through Mania. And at one point, he was only doing like one match a year. Where he'd only show up for Mania.
For the streak. And then once that was beaten, it was like, well, why do we need him here at this point? Because he's done his dues.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with everything being said, hell has frozen over once again. It snowed in Colorado the night before the PLE and the day of the PLE. Yep. So I really do blame you, Phil, for the snow that we got here in Denver because you froze hell over somehow.
We re-enter the CM Punk WWE era where he will be on Raw tonight. Not to plug for them, but he'll be on Raw tonight with a live microphone.
After almost 10 years of being away.
They're going to there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to let him talk. I doubt they have a written promo for him. I think you just hand him the mic and say, hey, we're on USA.
If you hand him a promo, he'll just rip it up in front of you anyway and say thanks.
I would just be like, hey, we're on USA. You can't use half the language you could use on TNT. So just go out there and keep our viewership in mind, and you have 10 minutes is probably...
I think that's way too much time for that,
I honestly bet he goes longer. That's the problem, is I think his entrance is going to be 20 minutes long. The crowd is going to go nuts. We're going to be in the weeds here with the crowd not wanting to relinquish.
Where is Raw at tonight?
Indianapolis.
Okay, so that's a good enough crowd for him to still have the hype of where he's at.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, and it's going to be like Cody, the crowd is going to go crazy for him. And, I mean, you could tell last night, night before, that it's the biggest crowd he's seen in a minute.
Oh, yeah,
you can actually see the adrenaline. He was fired up. The crowd was fired up. I'm interested in that, and I guess we will see what the CM Punk era
after almost 10 years being away from WWE, you've come back.
Yeah.
And honestly, with that being said, I wanted to bring up the Riddle thing. Riddle said on his Twitter, if you thought I was a problem WWE, have fun working with CM Punk.
It is such a different problem.
It is. It really is.
Such a different problem. Like,
I just find it hilarious that he's obviously still peeved that he's gotten cut, but like he had to say something.
Dude, like, okay, CM Punk is awful on a political level for the locker room. And not politics like we're thinking politics. Like, I mean like wrestling politics. He's really bad about wanting everything for himself. He's not necessarily in it for everybody's game here.
Very goal-oriented.
Yeah, Punk is a lot, to me, I always relate him to Hogan in 1999 or whatever, where he had the creative control clause, and he has his own destiny, essentially. He can determine what he's doing. Riddle had assault charges and sexual assault charges and all sorts of things under the WWE umbrella.
Drug fucking problems, rehab. I mean,
you can't have all of these...
Not trying to bash, but at the same time, like...
You can't have all these problems... and expect, like, WWE did these kinds of things for a long time with Jeff Hardy, and too long. Too long. I love Jeff, but they dealt with it for too long because they knew the draw, and he was part of their long-term family. Like, you just can't.
But at the end of the day, they got tired of it, and then they cracked down on everyone.
But Riddle has had way too many problems that are very public. Yeah. And to relate the two is just incorrect.
Night and day difference.
At best, incorrect. I actually wish him the best of luck with that thought process. I'm surprised he hasn't run to Tony to try to... I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure he has He probably has a 90-day non-compete.
I'm pretty sure we're almost at the end of that 90 days.
Because Vince likes to throw those into people's contracts.
Well, that's the whole thing. Vince didn't even know about any of this stuff. I guarantee Vince didn't like knowing that CM Punk is back. I guarantee that's gonna make Christmas awkward.
Yeah, man. I mean, Triple H is, if he's good at anything, it's about what's best for business. He knows that if the crowd likes it, he's on board.
Did you hear Stephanie was there?
I did hear that. I also heard she was like not working.
No, she was just in Gorilla, kind of with, I think, just hanging out with Paul.
She has her husband. She has her own thing going on right now anyway, and I'm sure we'll see Shane McMahon here soon. I mean, the torn quad is...
He needs to not wrestle. You guys, don't have Shane wrestle. Okay? Don't have him wrestle.
I've never seen such a lackluster comeback.
The next McMahon we need to see wrestle is his kid.
who looks like he could absolutely do it.
Yeah, no, he really can. Shane, you don't need to train him. You listen to Taker. You give him to Mark. You let Mark train him, all right?
Just the fact that Taker is offering
literally,
to train him,
that is literally a golden ticket.
Yes.
If I was a part of the WWE and the Taker had seen something in my child and he said, I don't want you to train him, I'll train him, I'll be like, yes, please. Yes.
Teach him to walk the top rope, Mark. Teach him.
You know what? You teach him how to be like you, and you have him run that company behind the scenes.
I mean, you don't even have to have an adopted moveset.
No.
Just give him your workplace integrity. Like, give him the drive to protect the business, and I'm totally fine. Like, he's obviously, let's face it, if he does ever end up wrestling, which I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a heel. He's gonna be a McMahon heel.
That's what the McMahons have always been.
He's gonna go that road, and that's fine. But if you just give him the workplace integrity that Taker has run for so long, I think that he's gonna be set up for success.
You can set him up as a general manager down the road after he does his dues with wrestling.
Well, he's also, I'm pretty sure he's playing college football and stuff like that, because that's why he was there that one day. He was all painted up.
Get it, kid. Get it, kid.
He's gonna do a bunch of different stuff. And for another McMahon to be successful, and for my bloodline to have not gone that route. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I think it's hilarious that Punk's back. I still can't get over it. I wasn't happy, but I'm not mad.
I'm intrigued.
We're gonna see.
I'm the first guy to say I didn't want him back, and now
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. Now I will say I am intrigued. I just want to know how long. And, hey, Ryback, retire.
Ryback. Is it Ryback or the Ryback?
No, it's Ryback.
Ryback? All right. Hey, listen, Ryback. You said wrestling.
Yeah, you said returns. You didn't say to AEW. Don't be a hypocrite. Eat your words. Be
Return
a man.
to wrestling didn't matter.
Yeah, you're not returning anyway. You had I think he had 6 fusions in his neck or something. You're not ever returning anyway. It's not real. You're doing it for clout. You were number 3 trending on Twitter the second CM Punk returned because of your comments prior. You are now going to be a hypocrite. So what you do,
you just do what you say you're gonna do.
Own it or don't. Yeah,
if you don't own it, you're going to lose everything that you're trying to build credibility with.
I mean, right now, since he's trending, I'm sure he thinks that this was a successful move. But I think it's embarrassing.
Not all publicity, free publicity, is good publicity.
No, I think it's embarrassing. I think that he should be embarrassed that he made such a claim thinking that he knew how this industry functions was so wrong.
You think
and
you know
now
everything.
is backtracking.
Hard. I've never seen someone backpedal so hard.
Yeah, dude. Aggressive. Be ashamed. Be ashamed. Go back to Twitter and doing your wrestling gimmick on Twitter. You don't need to tell people to feed you more. Nobody cares. Nobody. Nobody.
No one goes.
I actually only think about you when you do stupid stuff. Otherwise, your time in wrestling was so bad. Ryback's time in wrestling was lackluster at best, and he's a Goldberg knockoff.
If I wanted to see Goldberg, I'd just watch some old reruns of WCW.
Shame.
Very shame.
The meat hook clothesline is trash, and you know it. Go ahead. I want you to repost this. Go for it, dude. You like doing that kind of stuff. So you go ahead, you do it. You make me famous. Okay? Make me famous.
Feed me.
Yeah.
Feed me, motherfucker.
You wouldn't let somebody use your protein brand, but you're going to do that.
All right, we'll see.
All right, well, that wraps up the pay-per-view. This was obviously a much longer episode than normal, but that was kind of the premise, was to get the conversation rolling and have a much deeper look into what we thought of this pay-per-view. The next big one is Royal Rumble. I'm pretty sure it's January 27th.
9 weeks or so away.
Yeah, they don't have a December event. I know they're doing Tribute to the Troops, but I think they said they're doing it as a sub-in for SmackDown.
Probably.
So it'll just be a regular... Yeah,
they usually do it on SmackDown.
Event.
SmackDown's usually the ones that they go to for that. They don't do it on the main brand show.
Yeah. So next big event will be Rumble. Rumble is one of the big 4 of the year, and so likely this channel will do some sort of a live stream for that. I will try to comprise everything and get everything set up, and then we will drop our ads and stuff for that. I'm sure I'll bring this guy along, as he will have plenty of opinions. We also might have a third runner, depending on circumstance, for that. Thank you guys so very much for tuning into this week's episode. It was a great time. Thanks for jumping in, Isaac. This was a blast.
Of course, thanks for having me, brother.
We will do this much, much more often. Remember to like all of the Introverse Uncharted social medias, the TikTok, the Instagram, Twitter,
like
X.
It all.
Go like it, go follow it, go subscribe it. And
hit a comment in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, doesn't matter. Let us know.
Interact with the channel as much as possible. Let's get this thing rolling. And always remember to do more than simply exist. And come with us into the Uncharted. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.